What's up, everybody? And welcome to another episode of Reality Unloaded. It's your girl, Keeks.
It's Lena D.
And I'm Brandon.
And tonight we will be reviewing the next episode of Don't Be Rude, we streaming. Anyway, sorry for the commotion if y'all heard that, everybody. But tonight we will be reviewing the episode 5 of All Stars 5. It's been going really good. And of All Stars 4. I'm sorry.
Four.
The All Stars 5 speculation cast has been coming up on my timeline, y'all, and I've been a little confused, so I apologize. But moving on.
Honestly, it was a weird day today, too. I don't know if our viewers felt the energy, but it's been a really funky Thursday, Keeks. It's all right. We're going to keep it moving.
Yes. And before we start, I want to shout out Horacio for engaging in our YouTube shorts, like in Brandon's story. Okay, Horacio, Lena's Poppy, Norice's boo, baby, boyfriend. We don't want him. Okay, Norice, don't come for us. We shouting your man out. And you, okay? Superstar of Challenge Season 39. And shout out to Keefla, okay? Uncle Keefla holding it down, engaging with our Instagram page that we just started. So please follow us at Reality Unloaded Pod on Instagram so you can keep up with us on there too if you're not that much on the YouTube, okay? So now we're going to get into tonight's episode and we have a lot to discuss. So let's get right into it. And I don't know if any of y'all want to start it off, but
Yeah, I'll start it off. So we kind of get into the episode where Jasmine's kind of basically saying that she thinks that Cara basically gave her a ticket to the final. Choice of her to be chosen, and she didn't think that Cara really used it to her advantage. I kind of disagree with this because, again, I think what Cara said last week flew over a lot of their heads. But I don't know. What do you think, Lena?
Yeah, Jazzy said she's not afraid to be a target, but I don't think she realizes how much of a target she will be. No offense to her, but she is an easier star get than Cara Maria. So, if anybody's trying to steal a star, it would be kind of to their advantage to go after her or Veronica. So now we've put kind of two of the weaker players on the season with stars. So I agree. I think she missed the strategy completely. I think the house missed the strategy completely. But we'll kind of see how this plays out in some of the future episodes.
Yep.
Yeah, for
definitely.
sure.
Yeah, I'm not
And
sure
then,
what Jazzy was thinking regarding that. I thought that was very weird that she was like, "Oh, now she has a ticket to a final." I'm like, "Girl, there's still a lot of time for the final. Like you're going to have to fight for that still." But hey, I mean, hopefully she uses it as motivation to get there. That's all I can say about that.
yeah. And then it's funny because also you see Brandon making a comment. I forgot specifically to who, but he was basically saying that he had to make the best play for his game to make it to the end. And again, like we said earlier, I think it's flying over a lot of their heads and they're not really seeing how big Kara's moves actually are and how it might just end their games earlier than they expect.
Yeah, and I kind of understand where Brandon is coming from, where he says it multiple times through the episode, like Cara Maria is a threat to his game. It's an individual final. It's not, it's not going to be two winners. It's the one winner. So he knows possibly versus Cara Maria, he's not going to make it to the end. And win the final pot. So I definitely understand his move and I understand his reasoning for it. I just think the way he went about it, and I think comments that he makes throughout this episode as well, really kind of highlight the cracks between his relationship with Cara Maria. That it isn't really as strong as the last episode led on to be, or as easy of a transition, I guess, from one season to the next.
Yes,
What do you think,
and
Keeks?
I think that comment that he made, I think it was to Jasmine, like when they were sitting together in the living room or something. Yeah, I think they were talking about that. I mean, I get it, like I get him making the move Was it the smartest decision? Obviously, seeing that Kara came back, obviously not. But I don't blame them, again, like I mentioned last pod. I don't blame them for taking the shot when they could to try to at least guarantee a champ out, especially a champ with a star.
Yeah, but there was definitely weird energy in the household after the last elimination. So, they're coming back. You can definitely feel the tension. Kara's actually talking to Laurel and Ryan, and she's really kind of telling them, like, they've made a big mistake. Like, all bets are off, all possible alliances are off. And, Karma Maria is coming for revenge. So,
Karma Maria is a very real thing. I don't know why these people keep coming for her. All I'm gonna say is it's a real thing. And when
we know why they keep coming for her. Yeah, like they come for her because she's strong. Like she's
come
a good
for her and
player.
don't miss. If you miss, you're sorry.
Right.
But going into the next part of the episode, we kind of see, I thought it was a nice moment between Leroy and Adam where Leroy was giving Adam a haircut, and Adam was basically talking about Leroy and Cam's relationship and how he admired them. And then we actually see Leroy getting a little deeper in his confessionals where he's talking about postpartum depression for men and how he went to a therapist to basically talk through it. And I thought that was interesting because I don't think I've ever seen a man talk about that on television before. So it was nice to see.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry, Lena. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Keeks.
I agree with that. That was probably like the first time that I've ever seen a man on TV talk about experiencing postpartum depression or postpartum anxiety. Especially so openly, especially a Black man on TV. So I did like that. And it just gave us another insight on Leroy, the person that we do love and enjoy on the challenge. So seeing this him be more vulnerable, it just shows a softer side of Leroy that we really just don't get to see often. Like, he's usually a supporting character in most of these seasons. So seeing him and Cam get their time, especially when it comes to being new parents and doing this in the game and leaving their son after just being a few months old, like, I can only imagine how taxing it is for them and how much anxiety they're going through, wondering like, oh, is my son okay? Does my son need me? Like, what else can I do? And trying to deal with the emotions of the house as well.
Yeah, and I think the beautiful part of that scene was you see the human behind the competitor. You see Leroy. You said it the best, Keeks. He's always been a supportive competitor, but this was the first time we kind of see his background story, and we really see kind of insight to what's going on. These competitor life is obviously not easy. We can all attest to that. But to kind of come onto reality TV, to be filmed after leaving your child, there's a lot of dynamics going on there that we don't necessarily understand. And we really just want them to be on and present. And we've been questioning the first few episodes, like, why is Leroy not performing? And I would have never guessed that was why, or I would have never guessed that was kind of something that he was dealing with. So I think, bravo to Leroy for being open. Thank you for bringing our attention to that matter. I think it's important to realize that once you become parents, you're still your own individual and there's healing within. So, shout out to all mothers and fathers going through it. You really are the heroes and champions. So I think that was really well done.
Mm-hmm. And before we move on, I do want to make this comment though. I mean, I'm happy that we got to see that topic was discussed. And it kind of just like made me wonder, like, why is production limiting these tough conversations, or like picking and choosing what tough conversations we're able to see? Because as we discussed before, like, there were a lot of I guess just sensitive topics that were brought up when it came to Ayana. And I feel like those are valuable discussions that should have been highlighted as well, or us as viewers should be able to see. Like that's what made us enjoy the real world and Road Rules, like, and seeing those cast members talk about tough shit. And here we are, like, this is a tough conversation as well. Like some people did not know, period, that men could go through this. So I just feel like
I didn't
production,
know.
like some people do not know about that. And
Yeah.
that's okay. But I feel like if it wasn't for this, like how many people wouldn't have been exposed to this topic and this matter? So I feel like that should be the same thing for those tough conversations or problematic moments that happen earlier in the season that we did not get to see due to production's editing. And I get it that they may have wanted to protect some of these challengers, but I also feel like they're doing a disservice to their fans.
Yeah, and I wonder if it's protect
speaking
the challengers or protect themselves, you know?
right. Speaking of a disservice to the fans, we get into more of the Laurel and Nicole drama. You kind of see them flirting a little bit, and it's just, it kind of sets up the whole episode for the roller coaster of their relationship. What did you guys think about this?
Can someone tell me why they broke up? I'm sorry, did I miss that? Did they go into that, or
I don't care enough to know why exactly. It was just messy, and they were on X on the beach or whatever, and it was
So I watched X on the beach. It was very messy. Basically, Nicole was gaslighting Laurel a lot of the times. Laurel made sense in a lot of the things that she said. I have a feeling that Nicole was just out here being a player, which we know Nicole to be since her Real World season. We all know that is Nicole. But for some reason, we just find Laurel finding her way back to Nicole and just falling for it. And it's kind of annoying because I really, really do wish that Laura would just go into the game, even if Nicole was there, and not focus on that relationship and just focus to compete and be the best that we know her to be. So
yeah.
I can't. Like I don't understand. And then it's the fact that like we see them like wrestling and play fighting with each other, and then Kara's looking from the distance and she's like, girl, Laurel is being played like a fucking fool. And it's true, because it's just like, Laurel, come on, we're doing this again.
She ain't wrong.
Laurel.
Mm-hmm.
You're not wrong, Kara. And like, granted, like, I mean, Kara has not had the best relationships herself on this dang show. But it's just like, Laurel, like, there comes a time where you really have to like set your boundaries. And we're gonna talk about boundaries a little bit later in the episode. But it's just like, come on, like, this is getting ridiculous. And then it gets to the point that like Flora is now being a mom to Nicole about Mama Flora over here telling her like, you gotta cut that out. Like, what's going on? Because I could see you obviously leading her on, and Laurel is falling for your ways again.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, we see a lot of mediators throughout this episode as well, because, we go from Mama Flora giving Nicole the talk to say like, hey, cut it out. And then we go to Leroy giving a talk to Cara Maria and saying, hey, you and Cam need to talk it out. Like, there's some miscommunication. We kind of need to clear the air. And Cara Maria does exactly that. She goes to talk to Cam to really figure out what's going on and what the tension is. And Brandon, how does that go?
Okay, so I feel like the whole conversation could have had a resolution to it if they were actually like hearing each other. So we all know I'm a big Cara fan, but I think Cara came in and she was hot and
we
heavy.
had no idea.
And mad.
We had no idea.
we know she was mad. We get it. But I think Cam then was just reacting to Cara's fire that she was giving her. She was like, basically with the whole Ayanna thing, she was like, you wanted to make the votes even. And then Cara was like, oh, if you just don't want to go against me, just say that. And it just became this whole dispute that there wasn't going to be any resolution either way. And I don't think they were actually listening to each other. And I really, really, really wish they had the opportunity to do that, because seeing them as a duo, since I do love them both, like I really wanted to see them come into this game and like play the whole house, and
Yeah,
it's not looking like that so far.
Yeah,
I
but you
agree.
know, it was weird though, because Kara made the statement that we said multiple times. Her move did not affect Cam's game. And Kara repeated that exact statement while talking to Cam, and Cam was still not about it. Like, Cam was just like, no, you didn't have my back. And I felt again like Cam was just really holding her ground, even though I felt like she didn't really have much ground to be as upset as she was. Whereas I understood why Cara Maria came in so hot and heavy. Like, you tried to send me home. Like, you really tried a deliberate move to get me sent home, and by one of the strongest women in the house. So I almost understand why Cara came as hot and heavy as she did, because she was backstabbed, she was angry. I think there was a lot going on. And again, she came back to the house. We didn't see anybody clap for her. Like, I'll be honest, this episode really like stung me a little. Like, I felt Cara Maria was the true Lone Star this episode.
Okay, I don't have those same sentiments about her being the true Lone Star, because she had people that backed her. However, she did have people that backed her. I mean, like, she also got who she wanted into the elimination. So I feel like we can say the same thing. We just don't hear much from them, because the main people that were the main characters of the show were, for this episode, were Cam, Leroy, Brandon, and Cara. So I feel
Yeah.
like the people that were on her side, we didn't really hear much from them. Like, Ace didn't get a confessional this episode, and he's for Cara. So, for example, like, however, yes, I agree. I do think that there should have been a resolution. I do think that, Cara immediately like cutting off Cam, that would have gotten me hot too. Like, me thinking about it, like, oh, you didn't even let me finish my sentence, and you're already like, oh, Cam, I already knew you were gonna bring this up. It's like, damn, let her finish. But then I did not agree with Cam saying, oh, you went in there with the intentions of splitting up the votes or like evening
Yeah.
them up, because that wasn't the intention. However, I understand where I feel like Cam didn't get to explain, or I don't want to put words in her mouth, but from my point of view, it looks like Cam is just more upset that if Cara wasn't the last vote to go, would Cara have just voted for Rachel, and potentially like influence the rest of the votes and potentially risk the outcome not being what Cam wanted? And granted, like, Cam is not obligated to get what she wants in this game. Like, nobody's saying that. I don't agree
Yeah.
with that. I just think Cam went into it like, you're my girl from outside this game. We spend multiple time, like so much time together. Why couldn't you just have the decency of telling me separately? And I feel like that was not able to be expressed well. And Cara brought that up. She brought it up during deliberation, which I get. But I kind of also
Mm-hmm.
feel like, damn, if I'm your girl, I said this before, if I'm your girl, tell me right before. Like, what stopped you from telling me right before? Like, hey, I know you want this, but to protect my star, and I don't want Rachel coming for me, and also potentially helping our game together, I'm gonna say this person's name. I hope you're okay with that. And I think that's what Cam is trying to say, but she didn't get to say that. Or at least we didn't
But
see that.
you don't think that their relationship, like if their relationship is truly strong enough, wouldn't you know that I had your back without me having to say it? I was the last vote. My
No.
vote wasn't going to change anything. So if I didn't vote with you, but I still knew it was going to go your way, like, I
I
didn't vote
think
first. I deliberately waited till the end.
I
I think
think
that's
it's just
go
go
ahead.
ahead, Keeks.
No,
I
go, go,
think
go.
it's just a matter of them not having good communication, because again, a lot of these players come in, they might not keep in touch when they go back home. But I know Cara was out for a while, I think like 5 years. So Cara probably came in like, okay, I know Cam, I know Leroy, I know Brandon, I know Jasmine. Those are my people. Like, we're in this. And I think she saw all of them turn on her. And again, Cam and Leroy were like, we're coming in to play the game and actually win. So I don't think they necessarily had that open communication or dialogue with each other. And that's why they're all frazzled, basically, saying different things.
Yeah, the communication is non-existent between these friends. And then we get to the part where Brandon, Kara says that she truly had Brandon's back, and then that's another layer to this. And then Brandon basically says, like, you don't know me, you haven't been there for like through those pivotal moments in my life, important moments in my life. You haven't said happy birthday, you haven't said congratulations on your marriage, da da da, this and that, the third. And he got divorced. He said he got divorced. He went
No,
through.
I think he had a kid. He had a loss.
Oh yeah, it was just a lot.
Yeah.
And ultimately, like, Carl's like, oh, when I go back home, I'm in my bubble. And it's also just like, okay, but like I understand both sides. Like, and it was just so frustrating because I was just like, bro, like, y'all should be running this house together. Why are y'all
So
not running this
easily, so
so
easily.
easily?
But
All
you
of
know,
y'all.
but my question becomes like, I'm sorry, but like, did you reach out, Brandon? Like, like I'm not one
me?
to say no, like the challenge, Brandon. Like, did he reach out? Like, you went through a loss or this, like you can also reach out too. So I feel like there's also a dynamic that I just don't think. And again, I'm not here to protect Cara Maria. Like, I definitely think she has wrong as well and some blame and so to take accountability for. But I also feel like she had your back the first few episodes unquestioned. Like, you didn't have to talk. And then the one chance you had, you went and turned on her, and all of a sudden your friendship is a flop because you guys haven't talked in 8 years. Like, to me, it just becomes like really questionable because we heard a whole different narrative last episode where every time we see each other, we pick up like nothing happened. We're these great friends. And then all of a sudden at the elimination, this next episode, you don't know me. We haven't talked in 8 years. Like, okay, sir. So what dynamic, where are you standing with this friendship?
Yeah. I mean, I think it was just, again, it's just a matter of like these people not communicating very well to one another. And I'm just like at a loss because I'm like, why are y'all not communicating in the house? Like, y'all have nothing else to do.
Yeah.
Like, y'all have all the time in the
Yeah.
world to communicate. So that's what pissed me off. But I mean, we move on, and Leroy's like, well, that was
That was pointless.
That was
and
pointless.
you could tell like Leroy was like looking back and forth, and he's like, what the hell? Like, oh my god.
But also, I would just like to say, I wish Leroy would have taken that opportunity and that chance to like interject himself in the conversation and say, Cam, you're not listening. Cara, you're not listening. I want to work with both of you. I need you guys to get it together so that we could essentially run the house. And I wish he would have done something, and he just kind of sat back and didn't. So that was kind of disappointing to me, but still.
But we also never see Leroy in that role, right?
Yeah, I
Leroy
was gonna
never, like, that's not his thing. He doesn't do a great political game. Like, we know Leroy as the competitor. So I would have been surprised if he stepped up and did that, to be honest.
I just didn't expect him to get in women's business, to be honest. Like,
Yeah,
I
like,
expected
he's
him to
not
like
that.
let me get them in a room, but I didn't think he was gonna get involved in the conversation like that, to be quite honest.
Yeah, agreed. And then we move into the daily challenge. So the daily challenge, Brandy, you want to break it down?
Yeah, sure. So the daily challenge is called Bobblehead Bobsled. And this was kind of a confusing game to me at first, but then once I saw a few teams going, I was like, oh, okay, I get it. So basically it's played in 4 teams, and it's kind of a blast from the past because they had the same challenge in Duel 2, which I believe was season 17. Yeah. So they basically have to start at the top of the hill, and they have to haul down like this pathway to try to grab different bags of liquid at certain checkpoints. So once they do that, when everyone is down the hill, they have to try to fill their tube up with the liquid bags that they actually got, because the whole entire time that they're going down the hill, TJ was running around like a little squirrel, basically letting more water out. So it was funny, but we kind of get into seeing different strategies play out. So, Keeks, I don't know if you want to start with a team.
Yeah, so before this all starts, we hear Brad like, "Oh, I did this on the duel too. Oh, I'm gonna be good. I'm excited." And I was like, "Oh fuck, Brad is gonna fuck this up." Because once people start saying stuff like that, I'm like, "Oh, it's downhill from here." So the first team is the light blue team, which is Brad, Leroy, Nicole, and Jasmine. Leroy, like they even pointed out, they're like, "Oh, we need to get Leroy his first win of the season," which clearly, like, we're rooting for Leroy. Like we've been saying it, like, Leroy, come on, step it up, step it up, step it up. So Brad says that he's done this, so they should have a leg up. Brad ends up fumbling the entire course. He's dropping the bags, he's letting them go. They can't even grab the bags that he's dropped. His whole team is cursing him out behind him. Jasmine's now nervous because her star is on the line, and Leroy is pissed. Nicole is pissed. They're all going off at Brad, rightfully so.
Leroy
Because, like,
Leroy was heated.
you
Heated,
could tell,
heated,
and he
heated.
said it. He said it. He was like, I don't even get mad like this. Like, I'm usually the cool, calm, and collected dude, but this is getting crazy. Like the fact that you couldn't grab any, and the little ones that we did grab are, it's just not gonna be a good one for us. So they already knew that they were gonna be in the bottom because of Brad, unfortunately.
Yeah,
And then we move
they
on.
did not do good. But you can
No,
go
they
ahead.
definitely did not. No. But then we move on to the orange team, who surprisingly does a polar opposite. So we have Steve, Kifla, Derek, Tina, and Cam. You know, Cam, again, says from the beginning she really wants to either get a win or she wants to get in the middle group. She wants to protect herself. She wants to protect her man, especially because we know that this is a men's elimination. So she's out there to protect her family. So they have a little strategy where the men are really grabbing all of the bags going down first, and then the women are going to meet them at the end to help fill the tube. Their strategy seems to work really well, and Derek definitely was the shining star of the group. He grabbed the most bags and really helped bring their team to the top this episode. And I have to say, I peeped the little confidence Derek had after they did their daily win.
Yeah, shout out to Derek as well, because I think it was mentioned that he got 2 wins so far and he's been killing it. So I
Yeah.
think this is probably the
Yeah.
best I've seen him do in a challenge ever, I think, in my opinion. But I think he's set up really well. But
Yeah, he did a really good job.
yeah. Then we move on to the red team. So that includes Jay, Ace, Adam, Kara, and Veronica. And this was kind of a funny moment because we see Adam pushing up Veronica from behind up the hill. So she makes a good point. She was like, I've done so many seasons with Adam, and I feel comfortable with him that if I have him pushing me, I can go and reach the potential that I know I can reach. So that was a cute moment between them. And then they kind of have a brilliant strategy, in my opinion, because we first see Kara go down and she's missing all these bags. And I'm like, what the hell are y'all doing? But she goes into explaining it where basically the first people that go are going to collect the ending bags. The middle people that go are going to collect any of the middle bags. And then the last people that go are basically going to get the beginning bags and any of the stragglers that are there. And they do phenomenal. They get all 12 pouches.
I mean, they were going slow as hell, so they
Yeah.
should have
That's
gotten.
the only thing. That's the only thing. They were going extremely slow, but if they went just a little bit faster, they would have taken it.
Yeah, I was laughing at how slow they were going. I said, God damn, a lot of
They were coming at a full stop for those pouches, like full stop.
I was just like,
Yup.
okay, of course you're gonna get them.
Yeah, and then Brandon makes the comment basically that he's scared now because Kara is on the red team. So
Yes, and then we move on to the dark blue team, which is Brandon, Ryan, Laurel, Avery, Flora, and they looking like a hot mess. I can't even tell you their strategy for real. I can't even tell you, like, what the hell were they doing? Anyway, they keep over here like rushing and obviously doing what they can. You hear I was laughing when Laurel was like to Flora at the start. She was like, "You got this, Flora," or kind of encouraging her, like, "Hold on." I said, "Yes." So tell Mama Flora to hold on tight because
Lord, she was doing good. She was
she
doing
was, she
good.
was. But then when they start like pouring the liquid into the tubes, they're like freaking out. They're spilling some of the stuff out, and then
Yeah.
ultimately they stop it. And Ryan forgets a whole bag in his shirt, and he's like, "Oh, I thought it was my fupa or something." And I'm like,
Please,
"Ryan,
sir.
please." And then
Come
Laurel's over
on.
here like telling Ryan and says, "This is why you don't panic." And I'm over here like, "Laura,
Right. Right.
It was a whole bunch of contradiction. Like, I don't
Now,
know.
mind you, she's like attacking him, like, this is why you don't panic. This is why you don't panic.
and you relax and you take things easy. You do not panic." And I'm like,
He
"Laurel,
took
like,
it well though, because he's better than
He
me.
did.
In that
He
moment, I
did.
knew
shut
that we
up."
did bad. Like,
Yeah.
I'd be like,
I
"Please,
would have
Laurel,
shoot
shut
her
up."
away. Like, I would have
Shut
shoot
up.
her away like the fly that she was in that moment. Because
Right. But like, I mean, I get what she was trying to say, but I was like, "Girl, like, now is not the time."
yeah.
But then, okay, so then we find out who the bottom two teams are, and it's light blue and dark blue. And again, light blue is Brad, Leroy, Nicole, Jasmine. Dark blue is Brandon, Ryan, Laurel, Avery, Flora. And now, of course, Brandon's like, "Oh, I'm regretting saying Kara's name. Like, hello," which obviously he screwed his chances with that one. At that point, I was like, "Well, Kara's getting what she wants by sending in Leroy and Brandon, like, automatically. They're in the
Yeah.
losing teams."
it was that easy. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
Karma
And the
Maria.
reason he was so nervous is because Kara did come in the middle group, which was the red team with Jay, Ace, Adam, Kara, and Veronica, leaving the orange team as our winning team. And this was a really interesting, by the way, challenge because red team technically had the most liquid in their tube at the end. But as TJ said, it was a timed challenge. So it was really how much liquid per second did you get into the tube. So that time factor is really what killed the red team and gave the win to the orange team, which was Steve, Kifla, Derek, Tina, and Cam. Again, we know it's a male elimination, and two of the male star holders are on the orange team. So Steve and Kifla are really sitting pretty now, knowing that, like, hey, they're good, they're safe.
Before we move on to the next part, I do want to say, like, I found it interesting that Kifla, like, obviously he's like, my man Steve, he's also protected now, and Adam Star is the only one up for grabs. And I'm like, okay, so maybe there's a friendship or alliance building between Steve and Kifla that we are not seeing at this time.
It might be the old school alliance.
Right.
That would have been
Could
a
be
good
that.
one because I think they're the oldest guys in there, right?
Yeah, they should be.
Flora,
sure.
yeah, and then Flora's
Yeah.
in there too.
And Flora, yeah. They should
But I
have
was like,
made an alliance.
maybe the star holders are having conversations as well. It's not just like, Cara and Rachel that were having these talks. Steve and Kifla as well, because clearly Kifla seemed hype about not just him, but Steve as well. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah. And then again, they come back to the house. Karma Maria is in full effect. She says that she's ready to return the favor. So really, there's no kind of guessing who she's going for. She says it from the beginning that she, it's her chance to get Leroy and Brandon in the elimination. But production gives us a really soft moment with Brandon. He calls his daughter. He's talking to her. He's having this beautiful moment. And again, it was just very heartwarming, and it really reminded me. I understand why Brandon made the move he did. It's just the way he went about it was kind of wrong, but Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely a nice moment to see. It reminded me of why I like Brandon in the first place. I think I like Brandon overall. I just don't think a lot of the choices that he made in this game, while they were a little riskier than he would usually do, I don't think they were the smartest. But there was a cute moment where he had said that he told his daughter that he was going to Wakanda. So that was nice to
I
see.
love
I really like that.
Yeah.
It showed the side of Brandon that we all know. So
Yeah, it was very
Yeah.
cute. And you could tell like he just was really hyped to see his daughter, and in that moment though, I was just like, "Oh, Brandon's about to go home." I already could tell because
Yes.
he even made a comment. He was like, like if I go home, blah blah blah. And I was just like, "Oh, he's going home. He's going home. I know it."
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
have to say this episode is very predictable. Sorry, production, but you kind of dropped it. I felt like every point of the episode was very predictable. Like I knew what was going to happen at the nominations, the challenge not so much, the daily challenge, but like I agree, Keeks. Like the moment that little scene happened with Brandon, I was like, he's going home. Like that, like
Yeah.
this is kind of his like farewell.
Yeah, that's the bad part about being like such a avid reality TV watcher. You start picking up production cues and all that stuff, so it sucks. But anyway,
Yeah.
so moving on, and unfortunately moving on to this topic again, we get Laurel and Nicole, and pretty much Laurel ends up in Nicole's bed later that night, and Jay even makes a comment like, "I do not want it." Right? Jay is her roommate. He's like,
Yeah.
"I do not want to be hearing these
yeah,
sounds and everything." And the next day, like Nicole pretty much addresses Laurel about what she did, and is over here like, I want to set these boundaries. Like we shouldn't be going down this path. And Laurel's kind of like, "You're not being genuine right now." And she's just like, "I'm dead ass. You cannot be coming into my bed. We need to focus." But I
this
also
has
feel like,
happened before.
right.
Before on, I think another challenge, and before on X on the Beach. This has happened before multiple times, and it's like Laurel, come on. I know she's smarter than this. And Nicole just wanted the cookie, and she got it. And now she
That's
was
it.
like, okay, on to the next.
Yeah.
What new flavor can I get this week? And it's like,
Oh, come
come
on,
on. Like,
guys. The heart wants what the heart wants. Let's not be that hard on Laurel. With like,
no, I'm not even hard on her. I really wish I didn't have to see her go through this every single season she's on with Nicole. I wish she would
yeah,
go in there and not be phased by her. Because I like
yeah. I
Laurel.
mean,
So
yeah, definitely. If like, let her competitor shine because I think she's a great competitor when her head is in the game and focused. So I wish that for her for the remaining of the season. And she talks to Cara Maria, like they kind of have this open dialogue where she cries to Cara, and really breaks down. And Cara tells her like, I'm here to support you through this. But like Laurel does recognize how toxic kind of the back and forth with her and um I'm blanking on her name.
Nicole.
Nicole. Yeah.
Nicole.
So that tells you how relevant she is in my head. But yeah, she's definitely a toxic one for her.
Yeah. I think my favorite moment from that though was seeing Cara basically say, no matter how mad at each other we are and how we're fighting, I have you. And that
Yeah.
made me think back to Rivals when they were paired together. And that was my favorite duo of the season. You basically saw
Yeah.
a sisterhood form. So
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I thought that was very mature of them to. I mean, I feel like they kind of are just cordial. They've been very cordial with one another. And yes, they have their misunderstandings, but I did like the fact that they were able to at least be there for one another in that moment. And it's just nice to see. We haven't seen them talk to each other in that way in a long time. So I was
Yeah,
just like
not at all
surprised.
this season too.
And Avery was there. Like
Yeah.
Avery was just there. That's another person that got no screen time this episode, honestly. But I mean, hey, like I just feel like Laurel, she is so much better than this whole relationship, and I really hope that moving on, like now she is completely just like above it, like let it go. And we saw on Twitter there were some rumblings still about her relationship, or like what happened between her and Nicole after this season, and Nicole playing her again. And I just really hope Laurel is done for good. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Period.
And then we segue the episode into the nomination. And I don't know about you guys, but this was a very quick nomination. There was actually no discussion, at least nothing that we saw as the viewers. Kara came in, Kara sat down, clear as day, and she said her vote. She voted for Leroy and Brandon, and really set the stage for the remainder, of everyone else to vote exactly the same way. I think the only person who didn't vote for Brandon was Jay, to kind of honor their relationship, and he voted for for Ryan.
yeah.
But
I do want
so
to
it was
make
a
a
quick
comment
elimination.
about nomination. I do want to make a comment about Veronica. And I was laughing because I was just like, this reminds me of like Dirty 30, where Veronica all of
I
a sudden
said
like
the same thing.
voted
I
for
said the
Leroy.
same thing.
I was like, Leroy, your op is low key Veronica. Like she really be gunning for Leroy. She'd be like, nope. And I mean,
She
I
said,
get
not
why
today,
Veronica,
Leroy.
but it literally took me back to that moment where literally Leroy got played by his own alliance in that episode.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa. So, but yeah, we knew that was gonna be the inevitable. I knew Leroy was gonna go in. I do think that Brad should have been one of the people to be nominated, just because he did the absolute worst. However, I do get that Leroy is the best choice to go with, considering that he has Cam in the house and he has not performed well majority the whole season. So I get it, but I would have wanted Brad over Leroy.
Yeah, and I think they're all aware, like, okay, Leroy is with Cam. How many times are we gonna let this go? We have an opportunity to get a duo out. I think as much as Brad did not do well in the challenge, I don't think they were focused on that. I think they were like, okay, let's try to break up this duo. So
he's not on anyone's radar right now. Yeah.
Which is also a scary thing, because Brad isn't a layup.
Isn't one to sleep on. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why another thing I was like, if y'all would have put Brad, like honestly, he might have sent Brandon home too. Like whatever. But so then Cara places Brandon and Leroy's names up and says it's like obviously out of respect for both of them as competitors. I'm like, girl, just say it's revenge.
It's revenge, but I like the way she did it, because she could have been nasty with it, but she was really respectful. She said, I respect you both and may the best one win. And I like that, because it didn't show like she was still bitter about it. I'm sure she was on the inside, but she didn't reflect it. It showed growth, if anything.
Yeah. And then Cam had also mentioned like they came here to take risks, so like it is what it is. They knew what it could be, and they took the risk for it, and it could bite them in the ass. So I mean, she also took it to the chin too. Like, okay, she voted my man in.
Yeah, I think they all did.
Whoa.
Like nobody, like I have to say I praise Brandon and Leroy how they took it. Again, I don't think anyone was surprised, to be honest. I think they again expected that nomination, but there was no drama after it came up. And then we go to this crazy elimination. Hello, this is going to be 2 eliminations in a row where we have 2 really strong competitors going head to head, and we see nothing physical.
Well, okay, okay.
So
the elimination,
I know it took physical strength, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the elimination was called Mission Improbable, and basically there's 2 giant mazes in the middle of the arena. Each player is basically responsible for their maze, and the maze within it has 5 balls in it. It kind of looks like one of those things, I forgot what they were called, but that we used to play with when we were little, to try to get the ball in the middle. I forgot the name of it, but that's basically what it was. But for them to control it, they had them tied to their legs and their arms. So yes, it looked like it was easy, but we saw a lot of struggling.
That
So I
that
didn't
did not
say
look
it was
easy to me.
easy. Yeah, it definitely didn't look easy. I just wanted something more physical, not necessarily physical strength, because I definitely think it took a lot of physical strength for that challenge. But I wanted something more physical with the competitors,
Like you were looking for like a
a
pole
whole
wrestle,
brawl.
a brawl.
Like I wanted something,
Yeah,
something juicy.
I was surprised. I was just like, this looks like it is tiring as hell, and the amount of strength, upper body strength that you have to like manage to do this. It was
Shoulders, yeah.
Yeah.
it was just
Mhm.
yeah. Oh, and by the way, none of the star holders wanted to go down. Or they
Yeah.
went. Derek did not want to
Well,
go down to
Derek did make a good point. He said Brandon sent me home last time in
right.
an elimination. I know he's a beast. I don't want to do it. I don't blame him. Derek is riding
Yeah,
high at the moment. Let him
Yeah.
get his
right.
start at his own time.
Yeah. And then Kara at this moment like also says that like while they're doing the elimination that she's oddly enough rooting for Brandon because Leroy comes with Cam. So
Yeah.
which I understand, but you see them going at it. They're pretty much neck and neck the entire time. And you're really like, okay, who's gonna take this? Because Brandon at first he had more balls in the little divots or little
Holes.
holes
Yeah.
for the
He
stars.
was killing Leroy at first.
Yeah,
This
at
was a
At
first.
nail biter
first.
because
It was like
Yeah.
3-0. And I was like, Leroy, not like
But
this.
yeah.
but
Not
then
like this.
Leroy caught up out of nowhere and I was like, "Oh, whoa." And then like you see the last ball, they're both on the last ball and you're like, "Who the hell is about to win this?" Like they both seem very close and then all of a sudden Leroy wins. He gets the last ball. And I'm like,
It
"Wow."
it was neck and neck. It was a nail
Yeah.
biter. I think that was when I was like, "Oh my god, what's gonna happen?"
Yeah.
Because again, it's one of those equalizer games. It could be anyone's. So I was happy for Leroy, but
Yeah, me too.
again, as much as we were talking about how Brandon's decisions weren't the greatest from a viewer's perspective, I was kind of sad to see Brandon go because I did want him to do well in a challenge and make it to the end. So it kind of sucked to see him defeat it in a way.
Yeah. So we definitely saw Brandon leave Wakanda and go back home to his family. We see Leroy take the win. We saw Cam support him the entire time. I love that for her. Like when you say a ride or die woman, like Cam is that. And I love that for them. So you see Cam support him the entire time. He gets the win, and now he gets the decision on which star he's gonna take.
Well, before we actually get into that, I forgot to also mention once Brandon was leaving and he was saying bye, Kara also in her confessional, she basically said that Brandon, she'll always love Brandon and she'll do a better job on her end to check up on him and see how he's doing in his life and be a better friend, basically. And she says, it's okay to make big game moves. She understands that. The only thing is when you turn on your friends, she just doesn't get it. And I kind of agree with her. I don't think she said anything crazy. So
No, me either. I agree with that too. I mean, hopefully she does. I mean, it looks like they have done better at maintaining their friendship because Brandon just did a whole post about their friendship on Instagram. So he did shout her out. So hopefully like they continue to build that bond and just be there with each other and communicate people like I'm tired of
Please
y'all
that's
doing this. Like
just
communicate.
communicate. Just communicate. We
Like
talk it
like you
out.
guys as a duo. That's it.
we too
Yeah.
Just communicate.
grown. We too
Talk it
grown for
out.
this.
Yes.
Anyway, so yes, now then we get into Leroy being able to steal someone's star. And you can go ahead, Lena.
Yeah, so he has the option to take stars. He can take either a female star, which again, if he steals a woman's star, he has to give it to a woman. I wonder who he would give it to. Or he can take the only available guy star, which is Adam's star. So he could either steal from Cara, Veronica, Jasmine, or Adam. He makes a beautiful sentiment. He was like, I'm gonna let the women play their game. And he does decide to steal Adam's star. There was a cute little back and forth where Leroy's asking Adam, like, hey, if I leave your star alone, will you promise not to take it from him? Adam says nope. So he was like, it's all right. I was going to take it anyway. So it was a cute little ending.
Adam's comment though. I would have said the same thing. I was like, I'm not promising you nothing. You just take my star. You deserve it.
Yeah.
I'll take it back eventually, but I liked it.
Yeah, Adam took it on the chin. He said Leroy deserved it. It was a very like fairy tale happy ending. End of elimination, and we saw Cara Maria very relieved because she thought her star was definitely in jeopardy after her game move, but Leroy is not that type of competitor. So our final episode star holders are Jasmine, Kifla, our boy Leroy, finally, Steve, Cara Maria, and Veronica. What do y'all think about this?
Go ahead, Brandon.
I think overall, I like the episode. I think we got to see a lot of layers from different people, like Brandon and Leroy, and even a little bit of Cara, just through her confessionals. I liked it. I gave it, I think, a 9 overall out of 10. The only complaint, which we talked about, is the whole Nicole and Laurel thing that they're trying to force to us, and I think
down her throat.
I can't be the only viewer out here that is literally just tired of seeing it. So that's my only complaint. I just want to see both of them compete. That's it. What about you?
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's a tired storyline. It's really their only storyline, so they're going to keep feeding it to us this season. But I kind of disagree. I think I would give the episode a 7. I thought it was an okay episode. It's not something that I would say would be a very memorable episode. Any moments in it, to be honest. I thought it was very predictable. Like, we knew Cara Maria was going to come for her revenge. There was little cute moments that definitely happened, comic relief moments. But overall, to me, the episode wasn't really given anything. So I would rate it about a 7.
For me,
you think not memorable?
I don't think anything happened in the, like, the elimination was not memorable. The challenge was not memorable. The nomination wasn't memorable. Like, it was very predictable.
You don't think the vulnerability of the people was memorable though? I think that was my favorite part of the episode.
Yeah. And I think that was the highlight of the episode, is really the rawness that we saw of different characters, for sure. But for reality TV, to me, it was not a memorable episode. So I strongly stick with my 7.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that it was as strong. I mean, it was stronger than whatever we saw the last few seasons on the flagship. I'll say that every time. But yeah, I mean, I'll give it an 8. I mean, there were a lot of things that we hadn't seen on the challenge before. And yeah, I mean, I agree. I just feel like it was pretty predictable as well. Like, everything was, I kind of knew the outcome of everything, and that's not like me saying like I knew the spoilers or anything. It just felt like, okay, that makes sense. This is happening. Moving on to the next episode. I guess, like, since we started off the season so strong, like, this one was just like, okay, cool. Like, I'm okay with this, like, slower pace episode. Don't bring that daily challenge back though.
Please.
No.
I thought it was funny.
I thought it was funny. Like, it was cute because obviously it was a throwback to a challenge that they've done before.
Yeah.
I get that, but like, don't bring it
I
back
will
again.
say it was nice to see different strategies and how some of them just didn't have strategies. If I'm gonna see like a group challenge, I would rather see that than like people hanging off a truck trying to get untangled.
I do really hope the next challenge, like the daily challenge, is an individual, or at least like a team, like two people, excuse
Pairs,
me,
yeah.
a pair. Thank you. I really do hope we move away from like the 4 or 5 player teams next episode. I want the competitors to really show their game.
Yeah,
So.
but I'm excited. I mean, like this group of people, they're not scared to make moves. So that's what I appreciate the most out of it. Like, granted, we may not agree with all of their strategies and what they're doing, but they're not afraid to like just do what they have to do to further themselves in the game. So I respect it. And yeah, that was pretty much the episode. Um, any other thoughts regarding the episode, guys, before we move on to like some random things?
I think I'm just knowing that next week is going to be a girls' elimination. I'm very scared for Jasmine. I will say that. I hope she wins, but if not, then maybe she'll see what the plan was and why it wasn't stupid. So,
I mean, TJ may throw us for a loop. He may do another man's elimination. You never know. That guy always has some tricks up his sleeves.
Yeah, definitely. Who knows what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
So that concludes our live review on the episode. But before we go, I do also want to like make some comments about how the challengers, or like Jemmy, for example, with her podcast, she is doing the damn thing. Like, she just got Polly on there. So shout out to Jem. Like, and she outranked the actual official challenge podcast on the Apple Music podcast. She got a little higher on the list.
That is funny.
That was funny because there was a I think it was last week, like they were right next to each other. But Jemmy just had Paulie, which is super surprising that she had Paulie on her pod, and she's gonna have Dustin as well. And
wow.
Yeah, like, right, that's his name, Dustin, yeah, from Nani season.
Yeah, the one that like didn't they hook up?
Oh, Dustin.
Yeah, Dustin.
Yes.
Yeah, so I was like, oh my god, Dustin. So I mean, like, shout out to them for really putting themselves out there. They're having all these conversations. Brandon has also been like on several people's pods. He was talking to Jemmy on live for a while too. So I'm just happy to see themselves putting themselves out there. And obviously, like, there's speculations of this All Stars 5 cast, and I just wanted to get y'all's thoughts on this real quick. Like, and if you do not want to listen to this, now is your time to
exit out.
Exit the review, okay? At this point, like, I'm warning you.
Spoilers alert.
So we're seeing the speculated cast for All Stars 5, and they are literally Anissa and season 39ers, or the Vacation Alliance. And I am so upset, y'all, because what is the point? Truthfully, like, production, what do y'all want? Like, what are y'all doing to differentiate these different franchises? USA, y'all are starting to put MTV people on there, and it's blending in with everything. Now, All Stars, we're getting these randoms,
these newbies.
What is happening?
Yeah, like, and I feel like All Stars is like setting the stage for like established challengers who like are coming back. It's a different vibe. Like, I'm not ready to see season 39ers to come on to the show. Like, I'm seeing Jay, Michelle, I'm seeing Horacio. Olivia. Mind you, I love Horacio and Nerys, don't get me wrong, but not for this. No, not for All Stars.
Olivia, we're getting like, we're seeing Anissa. Like, okay, Anissa's done All Stars before, and she can go on All Stars. Like, I don't care about Anissa being on there. But like the others, I'm just like, what in the world? Why are we doing this? What makes All Stars different from the flagship show at this point? Then
it doesn't. And if they do that, it doesn't. The whole reason that we like All Stars is because we get the nostalgia of the show, and you even see that with the songs that they played. So
yes,
I feel like if they're bringing people who just recently did season 39, who aren't like a I don't know, like a Bananas or an Anissa, why even do an All Stars in a way? So it just doesn't make sense to me. Like
At all.
you're
Yeah.
kind of ruining the franchise of All Stars that it is.
Yeah. And there are speculations that there are going to be some really good OG, or there are going to be OGs that haven't been on the show for 10 plus years. So names have not been released just yet. But I was
Yeah.
telling my pod fam that it better be really good OGs to make up for this other cast that has been leaked already.
Yeah. And
But also, if you think about it, sorry, really quick, if you think about it, you have these people that are way younger with people that are like a little bit older. So it's like they're not gonna be at their best athletic ability compared to like what these younger people are at. So it's kind of
Yeah.
to me a little bit unfair in a way.
Like, again, I love them, but if I see like an Olivia win or a Michelle or a Jay win All Stars, sign off. I'm
It
done.
doesn't count.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just irritated. Like if you want to cancel the show, just cancel the show at that point.
Right.
And honestly, like as fans, like we need to stop tuning in if that's what they're gonna do. Like the whole point was for us to see more OGs come on, have a shorter filming time, and now it's like you're gonna put these people that have been on the flagship show in a shorter filming production, and it's just I'm just annoyed. I'm really pissed off. Like I'm convinced that production hates the fans. I'm convinced by it. Like I'm so annoyed
Girl,
right now.
they don't care about us.
And we already
They
know the
haven't.
game. Listen,
Right.
we already know the game. We know the alliances. We know how it's going to work. Like we figured it out. So there's really no point in us tuning in at that point. So I agree.
Right. But that's all that I wanted to chat about, guys. Our disappointment in the All Stars 5 cast, speculated cast, because at the end of the day, these people are not confirmed until they are directly in front of TJ. But that's all for tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe button, hit us up on IG at Reality Unloaded Pod. Make sure to hit that follow button as well. Share, comment, do what it is that you do and do it well. And we will see you next week for the next episode. All right, guys. Bye everyone.
Love ya.
Bye, guys.